Aston Martin's driver lineup has been under scrutiny since Aston Martin became a team. They clearly know how to attract the best talent in the sport, with Sebastian Vettel taking a spot on the team during their first 2 years in Formula One, before being replaced by Fernando Alonso. To tempt a 4-time world champion and then a 2-time world champion to your team, you must have something to offer, and I'm not just talking about big money contracts. Aston Martin are a team with vision and a desire to improve, and if reports are to be believed, they're on the cusp of signing another multiple-time world champion. Let's check it out. Aston Martin gets a lot of stick for their driver decisions. When you have a 4-time world champion winning driver in Sebastian Vettel on your team, whoever is driving alongside him is gonna struggle to match up, and unsurprisingly, Lance Stroll did struggle. Then came 2-time world championship winning driver Fernando Alonso, and for the 2 seasons Lance has been paired up with him so far, Lance has struggled. If those driver pairings were at any other team, Lance underperforming compared to his teammates would probably be overlooked to some degree. The problem is that Lance's mediocre performances are happening at the team that his father owns, which means that no matter what he does, people will always say he's only there because his dad bought the team for him. To be fair to Lance, he is far from the worst F1 driver to have been on the grid over the last decade. If you could remember their names, you could probably pick out at least a dozen drivers that have been worse. Though that's never an easy call to make when the machinery they were all driving in differs. Lance's problem will always be that he's driving at his dad's team, a team that has ambitions of fighting for world championships, that is employing drivers and engineers capable of winning world championships, and he isn't at that level. It makes him stick out like a sore thumb. With Aston Martin fielding 2 Valkyries in the 2025 World Endurance Championship Hypercar category, talk of Lance moving out of Formula One and into that program has been ongoing for months now. By the way, if you haven't watched the footage of that car driving around Donington Park yet, then you definitely should. The V12 sounds utterly unbelievable. Anyway, to add to the rumours about Lance's future, talk of Verstappen making a move from Red Bull to Aston Martin in the near future has taken off. Reportedly, Aston Martin are telling potential sponsors that Max Verstappen will join them in their ambitious bid to win the Formula One world title in a £1 billion deal that would be one of the biggest in the history of the sport. The 4-time world champion's contract could be worth up to that extraordinary figure across the remainder of his career, including signing bonuses and almost certainly equity in the Silverstone-based team. Multiple sources are saying that Jefferson Slack, a close lieutenant of Aston Martin's Canadian billionaire owner Lance Stroll, has recently made pitches to potential investors and sponsors, claiming that the 27-year-old Dutchman will be joining them. Verstappen currently earns £50 million a year, and only 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, who starts at Ferrari this year, can match that figure, potentially exceeding it when bonuses are added on. It would take serious money to get the sport's current top driver out of Red Bull, but as they did with Adrian Newey, Aston Martin have proved that they can make these deals work, even with the budget cap. And they would have to make an incredible offer, as Verstappen is the only man in the sport at the moment who can practically name his price. A source with knowledge of the situation said of Slack, Jefferson, or Jeff as others know him, has been going around saying Max will be joining Aston Martin. It may be a ploy, adding extra value to the deal he wants to do, but bringing Max in also makes perfect sense. They've signed Adrian Newey on a £20 million a year as the greatest car designer of all time, and Lawrence won't let that be the extent of it. He wants to win the world title, and he won't let anything stand in his way. He wants to end the dominant era headed by Christian Horner and Toto Wolff. Adrian is believed to think that Lance Stroll is not a good enough driver, and that Fernando Alonso being 43 is too old. They gave Adrian a shareholding to get him over from Red Bull, and they could do the same with Max. The source's statement was reported by the English outlet The Daily Mail, so take from it what you want. But if the statement that Adrian doesn't think Lance is good enough is true, then it represents the first crack in the Aston Martin facade. The team has always shown a united front on Lance, stating that the gap between him and Alonso isn't as big as it looks, that he's actually a very good driver who gets a lot of bad press due to the situation with his father owning the team. While the normal staff of the team will have to follow that line, as they can't afford to upset team owner Lawrence Stroll, Newey is in a unique position. Part of the deal to get him into the Silverstone-based team was a large number of shares in the team, enough that he would have some say at board meetings about what was happening within the team. Obviously, he might choose not to exert that power, but it is interesting to think that he could be the one to finally push Lance out of the team. Before I go on to talk about what Aston Martin and Verstappen have said about the news that Aston Martin have been trying to sway sponsors with claims that Max is joining the team, if you've enjoyed this video and want to catch all the news in the run-up to the 2025 F1 season, then please press the like button and subscribe to F1 Reverse. Thanks a lot. So, Verstappen moving to Aston Martin is a move that has been spoken about plenty before. With the technical regulations changing in 2026, there is no guarantee that Red Bull will be at the front of the field anymore. When you consider the huge number of high-ranking staff members who have left the team in the past year, including Adrian Newey, then you have to wonder if they are settled and stable enough to work at maximum efficiency when trying to design a car for the new regulations. They'll also be producing their own engine for the first time ever with the help of Ford. Now that is no easy feat and is far more likely to go wrong than it is to go right. On the other hand, Aston Martin now have the best factory facilities in the sport. They have the best wind tunnel in the sport, and they have the best designer in the sport in Adrian Newey. They will also have an exclusive deal with Honda to provide their engines, whom Verstappen has won all of his world championships with so far. The team has brought on board Andy Cowell, who led development of Mercedes' dominant hybrid F1 engine, and is now CEO and team principal of Aston Martin's F1 team. Aston Martin are the best set team to succeed in the new regulations. They just need the driver to make it happen. As with Newey's contract, hefty win bonuses and potentially equity in the team itself would mean that Verstappen would be very well rewarded for making the switch also. Of course, neither side is willing to say anything on the matter. Aston Martin has categorically denied the story, while Verstappen's camp have just said that's nice. No big surprises in either of those statements. If the deal had already been signed, then both would probably be saying the same thing. The possibility of Verstappen pulling a Hamilton-style move and announcing a team switch before the season has even started isn't impossible, but there is no reason for him to rush a decision. He can see how Red Bull progress with their 2026 car, he can see how the engine is performing, and if he sees a problem or something he doesn't like, then he can go to any team he wants and he'll have a contract within the week. Max's camp have been very clear that he isn't against leaving Red Bull either. Jos Verstappen said that for 2026, Max could head elsewhere. Yeah, everything is possible. He can stay with Red Bull if he sees a point to it. His goal is to be able to win races. If he feels that this is no longer possible at Red Bull, a change is not out of the question. Verstappen has said a number of times he would like to try out other series as well after retiring from Formula One. And with Aston Martin's WEC hypercar project hitting the track next season, the pathway to a drive at the Le Mans 24 Hour is obviously there. While he does still have a contract until 2028 with Red Bull, it seems clear at this point that that can be broken, and if he were to go anywhere, Aston Martin does appear to be the best fit for him. Do you think Max would ditch Red Bull before the 2026 season? Or would he see how they perform in 2026 before making that decision? Or could Aston Martin just make him an offer he can't refuse? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.